Yo, welcome back to your favorite podcast, Truth Talks. I'm your host, Crazy Bone.
What's happening? I'm the co-host, Keith G.
Thank y'all for joining us once again. Y'all know what it is. We are back, and today we are going to do a follow-up part 2 to our last episode, The World Spirit. We got a lot of comments, a lot of input, a lot of opinions. We thank y'all for, tapping in with us on the YouTube, man.
Definitely.
Don't forget to subscribe. Keep subscribing, man. We need y'all views. We need your ears. We need all that,
Yeah. Y'all make the show. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Just to recap a little bit, we spoke about the spirit of the world and how it is greatly affecting the whole human race because, it's basically the devil's spirit. We spoke about how this certain spirit makes people in this world gravitate to a certain behavior or act a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's usually in direct opposition of the spirit of God, and that's basically where the problem lies.
Yeah.
Basically where it lies, you know what I'm saying? So on this episode, we're going to go a little bit deeper on the topic of the world spirit, and we're going to go back, all the way back into ancient times so we can see when the spirit actually entered into the world, you know what I'm saying, and started to infect humans. And to do this, we're going to travel all the way back to the days of Noah, when it was just a couple of human beings on the earth. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go all the way back. We actually have quite a bit of information to cover, so I'll start off reading, you know what I'm saying, and then, we're going to actually start off from where we left off the last time, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
The same article that we got from the JW.org, and I believe it was right when Noah and his family was inside the ark and it came to rest on Mount Ararat in Armenia. That's what we was talking about. And it mentioned what kind of spirit they had when they came out of the ark. Now, we got to remember that, we got to remember their situation when they came out the ark.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, his 3 sons and their wives, they was the only human beings on earth when they came out the ark at this time. 8 individuals all together.
Yep.
8 individuals, y'all, all together. You know what I'm saying? In the entire earth. And we'll pick up from that last paragraph that we read in the last episode, and I'll reread it now. We left off, it said, when they came out of the ark after living a full solar year inside, these ancestors of ours had just one spirit. What was it? A worshipful frame of mind. It was an overwhelming tendency and mental inclination to worship the one who had preserved them alive during the long flood, the unseen being who was creator of heaven and earth.
Yep.
Okay, so that's where we left off. So you see, when they came out of this ark,
right,
after being inside here for a whole solar year, they came out thankful and grateful.
Oh, yeah.
That God had brought them through this flood exactly like he promised Noah that he would do. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So they came out happy with, they came out happy with the spirit of, we about to praise God. We about to do exactly what he asked us to do because what we just witnessed and what we just seen.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't no way we can't believe.
Nah, that's exactly what they believe right there. The whole family, that was the whole goings on when they went inside too. You know what I'm saying? That was the beauty of it too.
Exactly.
They didn't see it yet, but God kept showing them things play by play a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes he do that to us in life like that. We don't see everything real quick, but he give them to them visually. But I know when it was over, they was like, man, he really did this. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. So now we're going to see what happens after Noah and his family are out of the ark. They're here on earth for a while after the flood. And you know how things change once the earth begins to start repopulate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, people, they start having kids and the human population eventually rose again. We're going to start reading here. And the title of this first article is Nimrod. Remember we spoke about Nimrod and a few episodes back about, we talked about gun laws. We talked about Nimrod and how this dude was in opposition to God because he was a hunter. Something that God already opposed if you're not hunting for food, not hunting the animal for food and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about that. So we're gonna do some more research and talk about this man, because this man plays a very key role into why the spirit of the world is abundant today. So it said Nimrod develops a different spirit. It says, however, the world of mankind today does not have that spirit of united worship toward the Creator, Jehovah God. Since all the human families today has descended from those 8 flood survivors, why is not the worshipful spirit that they had back there the spirit of the world today? It is principally because of a man who did not choose to follow the example of his great-grandfather Noah. He chose to cultivate an opposite spirit, one of opposition to Noah's God, Jehovah. Who was this man? Nimrod, who descended from Noah through Ham, and Ham's son, Cush. He wanted to become somebody big and mighty among mankind and to rule over others. He did not distinguish himself as a peaceable farmer or as a shepherd. He made a name for himself as a hunter, becoming finally a killer of men as well as a killer of wild animals. Nimrod's spirit caught hold of other men, so that at last a proverb was composed and applied to those imitators of that bad-spirited man. Just like Nimrod, a mighty hunter in opposition to Jehovah. So this man, Nimrod, was the great-grandson of Noah. And apparently, as you can see, several years has passed, and of course, human population begins to grow, like we said.
Yep.
And remember, the entire population came from Noah and his wife and his 3 sons and their wives. That's why in the last thing we said that if we did an ancestry tracing ourselves back, we'd all end up being brothers and sisters.
Yeah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was the... But once this dude, Nimrod, came onto the scene, it says that he was in total opposition to his creator. He chose to go beyond the commandments of God and do what he wanted to do to glorify himself. And he wanted to be a ruler of men.
Yeah.
He wanted to rule over people. Now, if we think about that right now, bro, that sounds very familiar. Sounds just like the devil, don't it?
Same spirit.
Because he did the exact same thing in heaven when he deliberately rebelled against God. You know what I'm saying? Who created him? Now, don't get it twisted. God didn't create the devil. The devil was an angel, and he chose to become the devil. He chose to be who he is. God didn't create him.
Right.
For people to say that why God created his own enemy. He didn't.
No.
He was a loving angel. He switched.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And obviously had a conversation with some other ones, you know what I'm saying? And they flipped out too, you know what I'm saying? Power, man, like we getting into this thing, the spirit of the world, and that's the author of it. I'm glad you said that, because the author of, of lies and of rebellion and really looking at somebody else thing and wanting theirs, not accepting, because let me get this straight. God made him beautiful. You know what I'm saying? He had, from what I read about him, he had instruments attached to his body. You know what I'm saying? People think they could sing because he was in control of a lot of the music too. But I'm saying, back to the spirit of it though, the spirit that is just down here, that's just here with it, is just fully that. All the attributes of him, that's that. You know what I'm saying? Every attribute you could think of that's a downfall of man comes from him directly. Exactly,
and as we can see, just like you said. It's the devil's influence. The devil's influence started reaching down. And this was but we think he started tampering even before Nimrod.
Oh, yeah.
If you look what happened with Cain and Abel.
Yep.
Remember the story of Cain and Abel, the 2 brothers, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
First
the devil
murders.
was able to influence Cain to become jealous of his brother and to murder his own brother.
Yep.
Committing the very first murder in human history, Cain, killing his brother. You know what I'm saying? It was the devil himself. Tampering. He wanted the same worship that God was getting, our creator. He wanted the same worship that God, our creator, rightfully deserves.
And at the same time, to have his subjects go against him.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Which is the thing of Cain and Abel with the first murder. It wasn't really so much about the You know, because they both had attributes to be able to present to God. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But he put the spirit of hate in his heart. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he accepted that because sin gonna come to all of us. You know what I'm saying? That thought process gonna come on to all of us. It's just how you react in the situation too. You know what I'm saying? And as we go longer, we'll continue to talk about ways of that too.
And like you said, as the devil wanted that same worship, and he influenced other angels to ride with him. See, that's where that whole thing comes from. When you got something going and you a team, organization, group, posse, whatever you got.
Yeah.
And everything is going good and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And then you have this one person to say who he think he is.
Yep.
Why he get to call all the shots.
Yeah.
He ain't better than me. That's where that spirit it originated in heaven with the devil.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell who originates with who. The real talk. That's how you can tell who originates with who.
Hey.
Identify them, get them out your midst.
That's real talk, because when Jesus walked on the face of this earth, he talked to them directly. He said, Satan is your father. He told them directly. You know what I'm saying? Just some of them scribes and Pharisees, not the people he came for, but the ones that had that spirit, like you saying, he was able to identify them. I already know you ain't trying to hear me. You trying to ask me questions just so you can, your thing is to trip me up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't even asking a question.
Bro, that's crazy.
Answered, you know what I'm saying?
That's crazy you said that, because, that's real. So, just like, this sounds like the same thing we were just talking about, the devil. This sounds like the same thing this man Nimrod is doing right now.
Yeah.
Defying the person, the one that created him. He was infected by the devil's spirit.
Yeah.
But let's read a little further about this dude, Nimrod. It says, no, Nimrod did not become a farmer like his great-grandfather Noah. He planned on building cities. He wanted to herd people together and rule over them as king, organizing them for his ambitious purposes. His first city became famous, and it has affected the history of the world of mankind. It was Babylon, as the Greeks called it, or Babel, as Noah and his son Shem called it. Most people remember Babylon for its Tower of Babel, at which the language of the builders became all mixed up. Only a few people may remember Babylon as the capital city that was built by Nimrod, the starter of human politics. To reveal the bad, selfish, ambitious, bloodthirsty, spirit-motivating, this builder of Babylon, the history written by Shem has to say this: and Cush, son of Ham, became father to Nimrod. He made the start in becoming a mighty one in the earth. He displayed himself a mighty hunter in opposition to Jehovah. That is why there is a saying, just like Nimrod, a mighty hunter in opposition to Jehovah. And the beginning of his kingdom came to be Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land he went forth into Assyria, and set himself into building Nineveh, and Rehoboth, and Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah. This is the great city. Last paragraph says, as King Nimrod was a huntsman in opposition to God, the religion of Nimrod's capital city, Babylon, or Babel, was also in opposition to Jehovah. It did not have the spirit of God. It was not moved by any spirit of worship toward him. It did not pay any attention to the universal rulership of God as the creator and sovereign of heaven and earth. So, as we can see, this man Nimrod, he wasn't trying to be no shepherd. He wasn't trying to be a shepherd, wasn't trying to be no farmer. He was trying to build big cities and keep people together so he could rule over them. He had his own selfish purpose, and he didn't abide by God's commandments.
Yeah.
Just to make a quick example, how the spirit of the world that Nimrod helped to create is still in existence today. Because most people today would agree with Nimrod and say, I don't want to be no damn farmer either. Basically saying, I don't want to work no 9 to 5 either.
Yeah.
Nimrod wanted to rule the world. In other words, he wanted to be the man. Ain't that the spirit in the world we live in today? Everybody want to be the boss. Nobody want the 9 to 5 no more.
Yeah, exact same.
Everybody want to be the boss. Everybody want to be rich and famous. Everybody want to have many cars or several houses. But acquiring these things in this world means you're going to have to do some things that is in opposition to God. Because again, that's how this spirit was born, in opposition. It was born in opposition.
Yeah, it was. You know, that's why it's so thick, man. That spirit is a thing to take over, you know, kids and young people. You know, it's on television, it's on the radio,
Bro.
It's on every publication that it could be.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to really vie for your attention and really get, especially young folks. You know what I'm saying?
That's what they're really aiming at, really.
Yeah. And what even you said with Nimrod back, those guys, and even before. The spirit of the Luciferic spirit that want people to just be in opposition of God, that's what the whole part got, man, really just backwards. Because everything you try to do is going to go wrong because you're trying to do everything without God. On your spirit, man think he could do it on his own. I don't need nobody. We just doing this. Plus, I don't want nobody to have nothing. That ain't the spirit of God. God's spirit, as I know you got to go break down what it is.
No, break down what you're breaking down.
His spirit is love, sharing. You know what I'm saying? Reconciliation with family. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of thing. Getting along with your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Not purposely trying to come in and do nobody wrong or dirty on a deal. You know what I'm saying? Noticing if your partners ain't got too much of nothing. Hey, man, here you go. Because you going to need it, too. It feel good when they give it back to you, too. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the spirit of this world. The spirit of this world tell you strong survive. Only the closed mouth get fed and all that kind of stuff. You strong crazy. And all that type of stuff. You got to, and God don't work like that because He done fed closed mouths before. You know what I'm saying? Now I understand the purpose of people saying speak up for yours. I'm not denying that. Nothing's wrong with that aspect of it. But as far as like that's the way the world got to work for you to give somebody something if they hungry, that's not how God do it. That ain't His spirit. But this world spirit's like, you know. Kick rocks.
Truth talk, bro. It's crazy because like when we do research about these topics, you get your own information, I get my own information, but we end up saying the same thing. It's crazy though, like you know what I'm saying. So, but then it breaks down. Then in the paragraph it says, Nimrod's first city became famous and has affected the history of the world of mankind. Then it speaks about the Tower of Babel. Now, this is where Nimrod and the people of Babylon decided that they was going to build a tower that was going to reach up to God in the heavens. And God was basically like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Okay. No, you know what I'm saying? But
really
he did, you know what I'm saying? But let us read more and see exactly what God did about this. It says, that is why God miraculously mixed up the language of the builders of Babylon and caused the majority of them to scatter away from Babylon according to their language groups. But they carried with them to their new location the spirit of Babylon, the religion of Babylon. In this manner, a world empire of false Babylonish religion was built up. It spread into what is now India and Southeast Asia and China and into Africa and Europe and at last to all other parts of the earth. The world empire of false religion is in opposition to God because it had its basis in Babylon. Hence, in His holy Bible, He calls the religious world empire by the name Babylon the Great. Babylon or Babel means confusion. In agreement with that name, the Babylonish world empire of false religion is a mix-up or confusion of hundreds of religions in opposition to God, the Creator.
Period.
So, God purposely created a language barrier. To discourage them from going through with their ridiculous building plans. And everybody then had to group up with whatever language that group spoke. But like it says, they took with them those customs and beliefs that they learned while they were in Babylon. So it spread throughout the entire world still up until today, all the way from Babylon. And think about and think about this, the spirit of division, how Nimrod emphasized this spirit of division and cultivated it, because it says, think about all the division that came from what he did, from the spirit that he had. It was because of him that God had to mix up the languages, whereas before everybody spoke one universal language.
Real talk.
We could almost say that was the division of the human race because of Nimrod. Way earlier on.
And even get this, and even just for those that didn't read this part or don't know about the Tower of Babel, you know what I'm saying? It's not that, because sometimes if it could seem like, well, why God kicked their thing down? They just coming to say hi. No, they was on their own spirit, and they was on one accord, but not God's accord.
Arrogant.
You know what I'm saying? They was like, we doing this.
Not saying we going to see God. Basically saying we about to be like him and meet him up there.
Exactly.
Basically.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not what you do. That's not what you even want as a parent. You don't want your child, I don't care how old they get. You don't want them bucking up and standing up to you, and a respectable child never going to do that. Or I ain't going to say respectable. Yeah, I will have to say respectable. They're not going to do that to their folk. You know what I'm saying? But this is a portray of what, you know, that same spirit is. Rebel against, and that's in the spirit of the day too. We're going to get to that too, but that's why children a lot, and it's been read about, written down already, mothers against daughters and fathers against sons and stuff like that. You know, that spirit is in the world right now for a kid to not accept what their parents are saying. They want to say what's on their mind state. That in fact, that they done lived their little half of their life, and they think that they know something better than you and want to cuss you out about it. And nowadays put their hands on you about it, the child to the parent. But that's the spirit of the world. Take over. I know better than you. Same thing what you saying with Nimrod. He know, you got to know what God doing. You know what I'm saying? To have that spirit is just, that's a spirit of Satan if you don't have that, because it's going to be the two spirits you react off of, one or two.
Yeah. To jump back into the paragraph, it says, Babylon, the city built on the Euphrates River in Southwest Asia, has long since perished. However, Babylon the Great, as a world empire of Babylonish false religion, remains and now holds sway over the mass of mankind, whether they realize that fact or not. The Holy Bible, inspired by Jehovah God, has much to say about Babylon. In Genesis, its first book, the Bible tells us how Babylon began. And in its last 66 books, Revelation or the Apocalypse, the Bible exposes Babylon the Great and tells us how she will be destroyed. Ancient Babylon became a world power in the 7th century before our common era, and the Babylonian Empire covered a large territory in the Middle East and Egypt. But Babylon the Great has worldwide sway. The last book of the Bible likens her to an immoral woman and says, "Come, I will show you the judgment upon the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, whereas those who inhabit the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And upon her forehead was written a name, a mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of the harlots and of the disgusting things of the earth. The waters that you saw where the harlot is sitting means peoples and crowds and nations and tongues. And the woman whom you saw means the great city that has a kingdom over the kings of the earth." Last paragraph says, in the 4th century of our common era, Babylon the Great came to include Christendom. The first ecumenical council of the Bishop of Christendom was called together in the year 325, not on Vatican Hill, Rome, but at Nicaea, Asia. It was called by the unbaptized Roman Emperor Constantine the Great, who held the unchristian religious office of Pontifex Maximus. As such, he presided over the Council of Nicaea and decided in favor of the Trinity teaching, namely God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost, and a three-in-one God. This is Babylonish. A close examination of Christendom basic doctrines and practices reveal that they are Babylonish, although they are covered over with the names taken from the Holy Bible. It is not surprising, therefore, to find Christendom filled with the spirit of the world. She is now the leading member of the religious Babylon the Great. So I just want to go back to something real quick, a sentence that caught my attention out of everything I read. The sentence in the first paragraph that stood out to me the most is when it said that Babylon the Great, as a world empire of Babylonish false religion, still remains and now holds sway over the mass of mankind, whether they realize that fact or not. This is so true. This is what I want. This is what I want y'all to do. I would advise y'all all to go back and do some research. Do a study of the Babylonian religion and what they believed and how they worshiped. And you will truly get a clear understanding of how and why it is in opposition to God. Research the Babylonian religion and then compare it to all the different religions in the world today. And you will be able to clearly see that these religions today are the offspring of Babylon the Great. Look at how they worship. Look at what they do. Look at their traditions. And look at what they did in Babylon the Great. Everything that was done in Babylon the Great, God condemns. That's why he destroyed that entire city and said it will never exist again. So everything, if you looking at a religion and you see traits of what Babylon the Great, you know it's false. You know it's fake.
Yeah.
That's what y'all need to do. I've said this before on the show, and we're going to continue to say this. If there is one true God, then there has to be one true religion. It ain't the clothing company. Which means all those other religions are on the path to destruction.
Yeah.
And we will learn why they're on the path of destruction as we continue to read. You got anything else you want to say, brother?
Or just definitely the spirit of the world is going to definitely try to confuse and make sure that God's word, you know what I'm saying, is not spread. It's a variety of reasons why even the Bible is looked at as not true. And like we say a lot of times, you know, they say the white man wrote this and all that, and some of the books ain't in there and all that kind of stuff like that. Just anything to keep you from having the true and living God's word. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All he really was trying to do. You'll know, like my partner's saying too, but even other attributes that you'll know fruits of the Lord.
Exactly.
The way that he act and the way that he carry, when you read about him and the way he do, you'll start to know his traits. You ain't gonna know all about him because he God. You don't know nothing. I ain't claim to know none of that. You know what I'm saying? But what I do know about him, I'm able to identify his peoples and who's talking his word when they get to talking. You know what I'm saying? So then that's the thing what we encourage. And we always say, study for yourself too. So nobody can tell you nothing, and keep a relationship with the Lord so that the spirit of this world don't consume you, because it's going to try to consume us even though we ride with the Lord, we accepted by him, we believe Christ is his son, but still, we still in a world of sin. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that it's even hard with that, but that's why prayer is necessary. Reading is necessary, you know, not just on one day or saying I did it like this. Spirit of the world say, oh man, I worked too hard this week. I ain't got no time to be talking to no God. I don't know. Plus, I can't see ain't no attributes of this. It's not for it to be something did for us. It's for him. He's the one we worship. He's the one that did all this for us like that. You know what I'm saying? But the spirit of the world wants, like he said, that the enemy wants to be worshipped. He wants to take God's people that God sent his son, risked his life for, to act like we don't even know him. That ain't right. Even people in the street want that. They want loyalty. You know what I'm saying? If you even join a neighborhood or whatever it is, the rules is you can't join another one. You know what I'm saying? Or you got to do what we do in this thing. And if you don't, there's a penalty for it. But thank God that he don't bust our head open every time we slip on this situation. You know what I'm saying? They got mercy and grace to get back up and tell people about him. But
that's truth, bro. Bro, that's truth, bro. You know what I'm saying? The subheading of these next few paragraphs is drunk with blood. And it's going to explain how Babylon the Great is the world of false empire, false religion, is drunk with blood, and why she and her offspring is deserving destruction. So it says, ancient Babylon was against God and his people. The Bible goes to great lengths in telling us how the Babylonian world power persecuted chosen people of Jehovah God. Likewise, Babylon the Great has ever been against his people. A vision pointing to this fact was given to the Apostle John. In this vision, he was shown just how wicked Babylon the Great is. John says, "And I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the holy ones and with the blood of the witnesses of Jesus." That was one of the main reasons for Babylon the Great to be destroyed. For Jehovah's angel said to the Apostle John, "Yes, in her was found the blood of prophets and of the holy ones and of all those who have been slaughtered on the earth." Babylon the Great has shown the same bloodthirsty spirit as was shown by the founder of ancient Babylon, Nimrod, the mighty hunter in opposition to God, with whose blood, however, is Babylon the Great said to be drunk. Breaking it down.
Yeah.
Whose blood is he drunk with? Babylon the Great is plainly said to be drunk with the blood of prophets and of holy ones. That means the blood of prophets and the saints of holy ones of Jehovah God,
right,
who sent to the apostles John the prophetic vision of judgment upon the world empire of Babylon. John says that he saw a woman, Babylon the Great, to be drunk with the blood of the holy ones and with the blood of the witnesses of Jesus. This Jesus is the one by means of whom Jehovah God sent the revelation vision to John. As it regards witnesses of Jesus, John says that he himself bore witness to the word of God gave and to the witness Jesus Christ gave. So the Apostle John was one of the witnesses of Jesus. And at the time of receiving the vision from God through Jesus Christ, he was suffering persecution at the hand of the Roman Emperor and Pontifex Maximus. So Babylon the Great was not only against God's people who lived before our common era, but also against Christ's true followers, his true witnesses.
Yep.
In this matter of being drunk with the blood of the witnesses of Jesus, Christendom has proved herself to be a real daughter of Babylon the Great. Christendom claims to be the realm in which Christianity is practiced, but during the past 1,600 years of her existence, she has been guilty of shedding the blood of more true Christians than even those nations that do not claim to be Christians. By her religious persecutions, her religious inquisitions and crusades against heretics, and her religious wars, she has killed off more professed Christians than so-called pagan nations have killed off. So these people that's claiming to be religious leaders, they're responsible for more people dying than people that don't believe in God.
Yo,
it's crazy.
Hey, and I feel you on that too, because it's cold, because it's set up like that. See, sometimes, and this is no excuse for the people not to do your homework, but sometimes the people don't know what they're getting into. But most of the time, them leaders do. The ones that lead them down that scale, like how you talking about these Pope people, because see, people that don't know nothing about the Lord, they thinking, oh, you the one to go to. I'm just going to go here and I'm doing my thing. Pledging my allegiance or whatever it is. And these dudes know that they doing the wrong, the 52 fake. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's the way it is. That's that spirit. That's exactly the Luciferic spirit. Just to bust up anything. Like how a dog do. A dog, I could see if a dog would eat you because he hungry. When a dog just get loose and biting you, he just biting you so you don't move no more.
Yeah.
That ain't, I don't understand that. That's the same thing of the spirit of that world like that. Just want to ruin your life, not even eat you.
Right.
I could see if he was hungry.
Right, and just leave you there. Right, just leave you there. So we can see that the reason God says Babylon the Great is drunk with blood, because he's always persecuted. It's always persecuted his people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Always murdered his prophets, his disciples, apostles. There's a lot of blood on their hands, the paragraph brings out. You know what I'm saying? So when you get to these last couple of paragraphs, you know what I'm saying? It says, as a part of Babylon the Great, which is the world empire of Babylonish religion, Christendom bears a heavy blood guilt before God. According to the just law of God, life must go for life, soul for soul. So the blood guilt of Babylon the Great must be wiped out by her destruction, including that of Christendom. By her very spirit, Babylon the Great betrays who her God is, whom she worships. She shows she has the spirit of the world that is actually the spirit of the one whom Jesus called the ruler of this world, namely Satan the devil.
There you go.
The great alien, the great fallen angel who was the chief opposer of God. Satan is the one who blinds the minds of the people with false religion so that they do not accept the Bible truths about Jehovah and his son, Jesus Christ. It is just as the Christian Apostle Paul wrote, saying, if now the good news we declare is in fact veiled, it is veiled among those who are perishing, among whom this God of this system of things have blinded the minds of unbelievers, that the illumination of the glorious good news might not shine through. About the Christ, who was the image of God. Babylon the Great is a part of this system of things on earth, and the devilish God of this system of things is her God, and she partakes in his spirit. Word. She herself is deceived by him, and she aids him in deceiving and misleading the majority of earth's inhabitants. Her God is the one called Devil and Satan, who is misleading the entire inhabited earth. He persecutes those who belong to God, the Most High. Yeah. Satan makes war upon those who observe the commandments of God and have the work of bearing witness to Jesus. Babylon the Great shows the same spirit. So,
that's real. All that's real talk right there. That's diversion.
So, I just want to read something by this was a pastor who was actually into Babylon the Great, and this just, I guess it was something he realized while he was like there, like in the church. He was like, he says, the Bible is the world's bestseller. Almost everybody has a Bible in their home, but very few of us know anything about the message of the Bible. We don't read it. We don't study it. We talk about it. We have it in our homes. We have it in our pulpits in the churches, but we don't know what the Bible has to say. And then a media outlet punctuated that, and this was written in September 26, 1956. It was in the Fresno, California, written there. They said, an Arcadia woman opened her family Bible and found the deed to her family home for which she had been searching fruitlessly since 1937. It was just where she left it. Meaning, she ain't looked at that Bible in years. 1930. It was just where she left it. In years.
Yeah, it's comical. The reason why it's real talk though.
No, that was it.
I like that one too, man. That type of stuff right there could make you even think to, like, what, I do need to get up on that kind of situation. If this just, I got dust on the treadmill and I'm just out there like that, let me break this off.
Definitely,
but it's wisdom inside there. It's your whole history. Your whole life is in there. The relationship with God is in there, and with his son Christ is in there. You know what I'm saying? It's really, right, I know there, it kind of
all day
maybe hard to understand, but you know what I'm saying? Ask them to help you understand it.
That's what you got to do. Don't give up because you think it's hard. Like, you ask them and you shall receive. But the key is asking with a humble heart. Yeah. Because, like, you got to be humble. You got to humble yourself to even approach God.
Word up.
If you step into him like, oh, I'm about to prove, this is fake, you ain't going to gain nothing from that. You're going to gain absolutely nothing from that.
Because it ain't no
You got to go in like, okay, God, show me what I don't know.
That's all.
Period.
He gonna do it,
and that's all you got to do.
Imagine a real father, a real good father, a caring, loving father, telling his child no for something when he's asking him for something right. You asking your father, like you saying, show me how to do this, show me how to get down. You know what I'm saying? Show me how to have your mind state in. Show me how to think how you supposed to, because the spirit of this world gonna have us thinking like it all day long, because most of the things that's taught in the spirit of the world are the things of how to maneuver for cash and for acceptance and for existence. You know,
bro. You know what I'm saying? And I, when I look at people, when I look at IG, I have found myself doing very, very, you know what I'm saying, more and more less these days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I look, you know what I'm saying, when I'm looking at like people's IG page or like celebrities, you know,
Right.
everybody want to give advice. Everybody want to give life advice and tell you how to do this, but all their advice be like just how you make money.
Yeah.
How to be happy in this life, in this world.
Yeah.
Oh, this how you get, bro. It's all human philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what God said about human philosophy?
Shoot.
It's foolishness.
Yep.
The wisdom of the world is foolishness
Yep.
compared to him.
Yep.
Period. Before we get up out of here, I just want to say this.
Period.
The spirit of the world is a very dangerous spirit. Like we said earlier, it's a virus that never goes away.
Yeah.
You got to protect yourself at all times because it could be hard because it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The world is in an unrepentant state of opposition to God. It's not going to change. It's going to continue like this until it meets its demise.
Yeah.
You can't get caught up in that. Just because everybody walking this way, you got to be able to look up and be like, wait a minute, this everybody going this way, but this is the wrong way.
Yeah.
He already told us that. The way everybody is walking, that is the wrong way.
That's that wide.
That narrow road that nobody is really on.
Yeah.
That's the road you're supposed to walk on. That's the one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God is like, God says this, to end it like this. God says, this is what God says versus the world.
Talk to him.
God says, love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
The world says, is there really a God? Does God really care about us?
Yep.
It poses that question to make us begin to doubt. This is what the world does. God says, love your neighbor as you would love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The world says, love yourself and only yourself. Oh, and maybe if they love you back.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what God says. God says, remain humble. The world says, oh, nice guys finish last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they say.
The good die young. Don't listen to that.
Yeah, I heard him say it.
God says, thou shalt not kill. The world tells you, fight for your country. Even if it means you kill other believers that believe the same thing you believe, fight for your country. Or abortion is a woman's right. Or you have been sentenced to death. This is what the world tells you. You feel me? God says those who practice homosexual acts will not inherit his kingdom. The world says, come on in. Everybody's welcome.
Everybody.
Love is love. Love always wins. That's what the world says.
Real talk.
Who you gonna follow? Man has already proved they don't know what the hell they doing.
Real talk.
They ain't governing us the right. They don't even have the answers. So who will you follow? Don't listen to these celebrities. They halfway out their minds too. Because the spirit of the world got everybody following that one direction. That's why everybody look alike. Everybody sounds alike. Making the same everything. It's like we really in the Matrix.
Really though, bro. That's a dope
It's
parallel,
like you
man.
have to act like this if you want to coexist in this world.
Yep.
You want to be a female rapper and make it? Let me see you twerk.
Yep.
We keeping it 100. You have to act like this. That's the mark of the beast.
Yeah, see the few ways they're gonna do
That's the mark of the beast. Open up and recognize, y'all. We always love grabbing your ear for a minute, you know what I'm saying, to come speak this knowledge to y'all. Like we said, this is what really matters. It ain't, you know what I'm saying, everybody, there's other good podcasts out there, I ain't gonna lie. But I have yet to give you knowledge that's gonna save your life, your soul. You can always get that on Truth Talks. And once again, man, thank y'all for tuning in. And remember, the truth is always talking.
Gotta shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen. Peace.